Patriots fans, we know that there have been a ton of moves this offseason, but this one position has not even been touched. Let's talk about it. My name is Aaron on the daily Patriots content, even on my spring break, so don't miss out. Hit the subscribe button, please. I'd appreciate it. Hit the like button and comment below. So today, what we're going to be talking about, we're going to jump right in, is the running back position. Now, Mike Vrabel had this to say. He said, people talk about Ramondre and putting the ball on the ground, and he knows that. We've talked about this as well on this channel. He knows he's fumbling. It's something he needs to fix. We'll help him there. And also, we're going to make sure that the other 10 players know their job is to protect the guy with the ball as well. Common sense football. We'd love to add good young players on offense and skill players. So we're going to jump into that in a minute because if you watch this channel, a couple things that I feel like are guarantee are one, that the Patriots are going to draft a running back at some point. Again, Hasty is most likely not going to come back to the Patriots. As well, at wide receiver, they probably want to bring in another wide receiver, young wide receiver. And then as well, I think at some point, probably later on, they are going to add a kicker. So those are three positions I think at some point are guarantees for the Patriots. Remember, they have 9 picks. So those other 6 picks, you're probably going to see a lot of offensive line, possibly some defensive tackle, a bunch of different things that we're going to talk about as we start getting closer and closer to the draft, which, believe it or not, is around the corner. But anyways, we look at this and we break this down from Mike Vrabel is, hey, we need more skill players. We need to add someone. So again, at running back, I think that is going to be a guarantee. Now, this article kind of hints at, well, could Antonio Gibson be losing his job? Could he be cut? I do not think that's the case. I actually think Antonio Gibson could do well in a Josh McDaniels offense. The reason I say that, you jump into his stats from his time with the Commies, the Commanders, whatever you want to call them. Receiving wise, he actually does well out of the backfield. And anyone who knows Antonio Gibson in the fantasy realm, he can pick you up a lot of points, especially if you're in a 1-point PPR league, depending what you do. A lot of people do a half a point, but that's beside the point. What I'm trying to say is Antonio Gibson can catch the ball and make plays out of the backfield. There was times this year that he did just that thing, and you could see his speed, his versatility out of the backfield, catching the ball out of the backfield. Now, Josh McDaniels, you look at offenses of old where he had White, he had Lewis, he had these other guys who were smaller, speedy guys. I'm not saying Antonio's small and speedy because he's not. He's the same size as Ramondre Stevenson, but he does have the capabilities to catch it out of the backfield. Unlike Ramondre Stevenson, that wasn't necessarily his bread and butter. So when we look at who the Patriots could draft when it comes to the running backs in this year's draft, we jump in, and I know a lot of you are immediately going to say Ashton Genty. Again, we could be surprised. We could be surprised. Again, I think it is very, very unlikely that he gets picked by the Patriots. But as we go down the list, there's other players I've mentioned before. Trayvon Henderson, I really like out of Ohio State. As well, even the 2 running backs out of Michigan, even though I'm a Michigan State fan. We talked about Jordan James out of Oregon. But 2 other guys specifically I want to talk about today as pertaining to Josh McDaniels' offense are 2 guys, RJ Harvey as well as Jaden Blue. So RJ Harvey is a guy, he had the 4th fastest 40 time at the combine. He ran a 4.4 flat, and he is speedy. And his offense he was in at UCF, the Golden Knights in Orlando, is one of those where out of the backfield, you need to be capable of catching the ball in shallow crosses, wheels, whatever it might be in the flats, and go out and make a play. Again, looking at players like that, like an RJ, and we're going to jump into his stats real quick. You look at his time for the Knights. Now, on the ground, he had great stats. 232 carries, almost 1,600 yards, almost 7 yards average, 22 rushing touchdowns. But then was able to catch out of the backfield, especially if you can solidify that run where people are afraid of the run and you can bounce a pass outside. Oh, it can be dangerous. And that's something, again, I think, and someone commented on this yesterday, but Pop Douglas If you are in a fantasy league, I think he is going to pop off this year. Pun intended there. I really think you do. I think that Josh McDaniels will have a field day with someone like Josh, or with Pop Douglas, Demario Douglas. Now, RJ Harvey, again, smaller guy, speedy, like I said, fourth fastest time. His stats in the Big 12 now that UCF is in, and is able to catch it out of the backfield and make plays. I think that is a third. He's projected third, fourth round in there, so that's a possibility for the Patriots. He could also fall farther. Who knows? But again, his strengths are his quick feet. He's agile. A lot of different things for him. I'm going to pop out of that so I don't have to watch that video. Next up is Jaden Blue. Now, Jaden Blue, even faster than RJ Harvey. He comes out of Texas. Now, if you know anything about college football, just like UCF is now back with Scott Frost, but offensively, they still had that Josh Heupel who's at Tennessee. So that really fast-paced, air raid offense where you need a running back to be able to cut it out of the backfield. Texas, very similar under Steve Sarkisian. So we know Steve Sarkisian has been all over the place coaching, finally landed in Texas, and has done well there. But we look at Jaden Blue, 4.38, just speedy out of the backfield. And then when we go down, so projected third round, again, let's bump over to this right here. According to ESPN, they have him ranked as the 18th running back. This is a deep running back class. Woody Marks is another guy we could jump into as well. But Jaden Blue, as I said, he can juke, sneak open, pass field, legitimate mismatch option as a receiver out of the backfield, runs wheel routes and angle routes for big plays. Again, Josh McDaniels' offense, meet Jaden Blue, meet RJ Harvey. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. We jump into Jaden Blue's stats. Now your eyes are going to pop a little bit at his receiving stats. So notice on there as I peek in, this past year, rushing-wise, it wasn't crazy. He did average almost 5.5 yards, which is great. But again, we have to remember the context of the offense he was in. And so you look at that, and then you realize, wow, he had 42 receptions out of the backfield, just over 350 yards, almost 9 yards, and then 6 touchdowns. So again, the ability to catch it out of the backfield is going to be, in my opinion, paramount for whatever running back comes out. Now, there's a lot of running backs that are coming out that I don't want to say they're more of the traditional, but they are more of that Ramondre Stevenson type. And the Patriots say, listen, we already have that. We don't need that. We need a guy that is going to be that Josh McDaniels tried and true. Again, I think of James White out of Wisconsin. I can go in there and I can run between the tackles, but when it comes down to it, I can bump it outside for a screen, for a wheel route, for a mesh concept, whatever it might be, that he can go out there and really be disruptive on the edge and make plays. So again, Jaden Blue, RJ Harvey, I think they have a ton of potential when it comes to the Patriots looking into a guy who can catch out of the backfield. Again, we talked Jordan James. I believe he's a similar where he's able to catch out of the backfield. Again, look at Oregon's defense. We got to talk about context of looking at a running back in the offense they're coming from. That doesn't mean they can't catch the ball, but there are some running backs that we know that you've seen, and they're like, okay, when this guy's in, they're probably not going to be throwing it to him. It's very unlikely. But then when they switch out running backs, it is much more likely. The probability goes up exponentially. So again, what do you guys think? RJ Harvey or Jaden Blue? Or is there someone else? I know we've talked about this before, but just getting a little more specific on these guys. Do you think Antonio Gibson stays? What the heck do you guys think? Comment below. Tell me what you think. Again, running back, I think we will make a move at that position in the draft at some point later on. What's your thoughts? My name's Aaron. Hit the subscribe button. We'll talk later. Peace.